Hello guys, it's David here. I'm just doing the London recap for today, Friday. So I'll cover EU and AU and sort of this morning's price action and how I sort of viewed it. I didn't take any trades. It was a pretty messy price action, to be honest. Nothing clean that I could see. So I'll go through it anyway. You can see on the daily in EU, obviously we're bearish after the break of structure. That's a swing high. This is our swing low. So obviously following the break of structure, we can expect a pullback to the EQ of the leg, which we didn't quite reach with this piece price. So we had this sort of corrective pullback, didn't quite reach the EQ, pushed down. We only swept the low, we didn't get a close below, and then obviously when we failed to close below here, this internal high became weak. So following sweep liquidity, it's no surprise that we're sort of coming up here. And where we go from here, it depends. Obviously we hadn't mitigated the EQ previously, so we couldn't just mitigate the supply and roll over, as we are still bearish. But quite often clear sweep of liquidity like that there precipitates a deeper pullback. So we know where we are on like the weekly, etc. We've swept the huge equal lows. It's like there's nothing on the forex.com data, there's nothing to the left that that we can see what we're reacting from. So yeah, we've swept the all-time lows, massive sweep liquidity, so it wouldn't be beyond the realms possibility if we switch bullish and maybe got a much more complex sort of daily pullback. But obviously that's a long way away. At the moment, I'll be sort of keeping an eye on this supply here at the EQ of the leg, see if we get sort of signs of bearish intent in the M15 from there, or potentially to pull back into this flip zone that led to the bullish chalk, and then potentially looking to play longs from there. So that's the daily. On the 4 hour then, coming into session this morning, I had the 4 hour as bearish. This was my swing high, this was my swing low. So obviously we're sitting around here this morning coming into London, so obviously not the best area of value to be looking for buys on the M15, because obviously you're in the premium, the 4 hour leg. Obviously this is a strong internal high, but then what we have to remember is while that is strong on the 4 hour, because we got the close below here on the daily, the same piece price action, we didn't get the close below, so on the daily this is weak. So it wasn't beyond the realms of possibility that we were going to switch bullish, and for that reason I was happy to sort of continue considering buys even though we were in the premium of the leg. Yeah, and then obviously we're still 4 hour bearish overall, so if you got decent signs of bearish intent on the M15, then I would have been happy to look for sells. It was just sort of a case of understanding that the 4 hour could have gone either way because of how the daily was sitting. So yeah, just trying my best to stay neutral in the M15 and try and not be blind. If the market's giving clear bearish signs, don't be blind to them because of thinking that the market, because we had the daily sweep of the low, it has to go up. So just sort of try and play it both ways and let the market ultimately show you where it wants to go. On the M15 then, we had come into, again this isn't the cleanest supply zone, it's pretty much just this wick here, but yeah, we come into that supply and then we got the bearish chalk, and then following the chalk we pulled back into I'll just delete these boxes so you see it clear. So yeah, we got the bearish chalk and then we pulled back into the supply that caused the chalk, and we pushed down again to give us like a little II boss. Now again, this wasn't the most convincing piece of price action. Like if you look at this sort of huge momentum to the upside, this was quite clearly just like a minor pullback for the next impulse, so it wasn't the most convincing, and for that reason I wasn't keen on being too aggressive looking for sales. But look, you had the M15 chalk in the 4 hour premium, had the little II boss as well, and yeah, I was happy to look for sales within the supply if to set up. But I will drop the M1 and show you. You can see price come into the POI and it just didn't even get a chalk around to give us a potential entry. So no entry there for me, and then obviously price just blasted the upside, giving us like another IBOS. So following the IBOS here, we had this clear supply to look for longs, but you can see there's no inducement in the leg. It's just a straight push. It didn't sweep liquidity. There's sort of those eagle highs behind, so reason to be cautious looking for buys here, particularly as we had swept the major 4-hour high, which is here. So after that there, it is reasonable to expect a pullback, so plenty of reason to be cautious and looking for buys for this. But following the IA boss, it was valid. You can see now we've got the M15 shock, and this supplies. This could be the first sign that we're going to get the pullback following the 4-hour break of structure. So it will be interesting to see what happens coming in New York. If you pull back in here, I would look for sells to potentially target that there. Ideally, we would get the bearish I boss there, which sort of, when we get the bearish I boss, then I'd be much more confident in saying that, you know, we might get the much more complex pullback down towards the discount, maybe down towards here. So following the IA boss, yeah, I was happy to look for longs, but you could have looked to play the M1 order flow, but personally, following a 4-hour break structure, you can expect a pullback. This here is pretty much a straight push as well, no inducement. It didn't mitigate anything to the left. Yes, it did sweep liquidity, but to me, there's no way I'm leaving a limit order there. But maybe it's in your plan, maybe it's something more aggressive. So yeah, no trades for me on EU. Was happy to look for the sell from here, but obviously nothing set up, and it wasn't the most convincing piece of price action, as you can see. And then yeah, price is pretty much range round up here following the 4-hour break of structure. So yeah, I was happy to look for a long one, or a long, but would have been conservative from there. And then yeah, following that sort of little sweep there on the M15 shock, happy to sort of look for sales now coming in New York. So that's AU. AU on the daily, obviously we're bearish overall. That's a swing high, that's a swing low. Had the pullback here, mitigated the supply in the premium. You can see it's a nice flip zone where it reacted to the demand and then flipped. Bearish II boss there. So at this point you can see supply is being respected, so the expectation is that that will probably hold, take out the week low. But we did have this sort of larger I boss here giving us this demand range, and we've come into the extreme of this demand range, and you can see now we've had a bullish daily shock this morning, and that gave us this fresh supply or demand, sorry, to potentially look for longs from. So yeah, ultimately I'm still expecting the swing to take precedence and run the week low, but obviously you can't ignore that we've had the bullish shock off the M15 extreme demand, so it's not beyond the possibility that we could push higher. But the bullish shock may have just been to mitigate some within this range, because this range hasn't really been mitigated yet. There's no clear sort of pivot in it, but you can see that wick would probably be the best thing, so we might just pull in there and then continue lower. So yeah, this morning coming into session we were still contained within this sort of daily supply, so I was aware that we could just continue lower, but then yeah, obviously it's also possible from the demand that we could have got the push higher. So in the 4-hour, obviously we got the bullish break of structure during the session there. Coming in New York we were bearish. This was the swing protected, strong swing high, this was the swing low. Clear momentum to the upside, like you can see, sort of we had this little range, and then it's sort of it's clear bullish momentum. Like you've 4 strong bullish candles there that shows that there's a lot of demand in the market. Obviously this morning you were buying, if you're looking to buy here, it was in the premium, the 4-hour leg. So obviously that wasn't the best value area to be buying, but then just looking at the sheer momentum, it was always possible that this high might get ran. But yeah, as always, we try to react, not predict. So yeah, as we were in this sort of demand at the extreme as well, you can see it swept liquidity there. I didn't completely rule out sales, because obviously they're pro 4-hour trend. I think they're pro M15 as well. So yeah, again, happy to sort of look to play the market both ways depending on what sets up on the M15. M15 then. Let's see, we came in. I had the M15 as bearish. This was my swing high, and this is my swing low, but you could have mapped it much more aggressively if you wanted. Maybe had your break structure there and already had the M15 as bullish. But coming into London, we mitigated this little flip zone that was obviously nested within the 4-hour wick. We had this like piles of inducement in front of it, which is obviously a good thing. So I was potentially looking to see if we got a bearish shock or IBOS in this area to potentially look for sells and catch the continuation of the 4-hour and M15 trend. But again, you can just see the amount of bullish momentum in the M15 and that leg of price. So wasn't completely welded to the idea that price had to come down just because M15 was bearish, etc. You can see we just got the bearish M15 chalk, and this is where if you want to keep it completely mechanical, you can say, yeah, that's a chalk, but it's, I think it was 0.2 pips. You know, barely wicked it. After that, there was no real clear engulf candle to draw the supply from, so nothing too convincing there, particularly considering the bullish momentum. So I was happy enough to be conservative and sort of wait for something clear, sort of wait like, yes, we got the chalk, and then wait to see maybe is this respected, and then we sort of get more momentum to the downside, and then look for sales following that there. So I was happy to be more conservative. See price pretty much just smashed up through, then gave us the bullish break of structure. So now the M15 and 4 are both bullish. Following the break of structure, we can expect a pullback, so it's not beyond on the realms of possibility they'll get a more complex pullback down to the EQ of the leg. But it is valid to keep buying from here, because obviously we don't know when that pullback is going to happen, but it's just more aggressive because you're buying in the premium of the leg following the 4-hour and M15 break of structure. And yeah, it's just more aggressive. You might want to be more aggressive. Personally, I'm happy to sort of stick to the better price stuff, as just it gives me a higher strike rate and sort of it's more comfortable in line with my personality. And yeah, pretty much coming in New York remains to be seen whether this holds and we continue higher, or you know, this might fail, and you know, this might fail, and then we can start sort of looking to take advantage of the pullback. But yeah, that's the main thoughts going in New York. Yeah, no trades for me on the M1. Personally wanted to see at least the M15 chalk, but again, you can see it was like 0.2 pips or something, so you could have followed the M15 chalk if you want to keep it completely mechanical. You could like look to, I don't know, look for like entries there, but it doesn't really fit my plan. I'm sort of happy just to stick to the standard entry model from the M15 supply. So yeah, that is pretty much it for EU and AU. Nothing remotely interesting for me personally. Was happy enough to just sit in my hands and wait for the clearer stuff. But anyway, that's how I saw this morning's price action, guys. Hopefully you took some value from that. If you have any questions around, just tag me in one of the public channels and I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Thanks very much, guys.